Are you an executive of a credit union? Do you realize the unique advantages that credit unions have in helping their employees, including their executives, plan for healthcare costs and retirement and long-term care?
We're Shannon and Michael. We're with Healthcare Genius, and we are experts on all things healthcare and retirement. And we wanted to create this video today because people tend not to understand the expenses surrounding healthcare and retirement, particularly higher income earners. And as a credit union, you have, like Michael said, a really unique opportunity to help your employees, particularly your executives, with some of these healthcare costs in retirement and do it in a tax efficient way. So, Michael, I think the first thing that we want to talk about is the healthcare and retirement piece surrounding a 401h, or what we like to call a Super HSA. So do you want to give us a little kind of definition of what that is and why credit unions are in a unique position to utilize them?
A lot of credit unions we see have defined benefit plans or cash balance plans that they're offering to their employees. So those are obviously retirement plans that if an employee stays with them, will start to pay out a percentage of their salary when they retire. Well, what's not known from a lot of groups is that 401h, which is a tax code, can be utilized inside of that defined benefit cash balance plan to provide tax-free benefits for healthcare costs in retirement. So really a super HSA.
Yep.
And if you're offering a defined benefit plan or cash balance plan already, then it's not that difficult to incorporate this kind of a plan into your plan so that when your employees, and as we said, your executives do retire, they'll be able to take a portion of that to pay for healthcare costs.
Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons that we really want you to understand that this is so important is the rising costs of Medicare, which you probably are already aware of. It continues. Part B, I think, increases at, is it 7%?
It's been there rough, yeah.
7% roughly per year. And the part that is so important for your executives to understand is that Medicare is means tested, which means the more money you make in retirement, the more you pay for parts B and D for the same coverage and the same services that Medicare provides. This can be a huge punch in the gut for people. That's kind of the term we like to use, the punch in the gut tax from Social Security. So any way that you can help your employees prepare for that is huge. And a 401h is the absolute best way to do that.
What we see when it comes to that means testing, if you're in a higher income bracket, you'd be paying 2-3 times as much for your Medicare Part B and D premium as your other employees might be paying.
Yeah, we've seen up to 4 times.
Yeah. And I think also, in addition to that, because a lot of credit unions, not only do they have a defined benefit plan, they may have a 403b plan or a 401k plan, but then they'll do 457 deferred compensation plans. Mm-hmm. And if they have a 457f plan, which they do sometimes for their top executives, when that executive retires, they take the full amount of that retirement into income in that given year. So if they were to retire in 2020, they would take that full amount, which will ultimately put them in the highest bracket for Medicare means testing.
Yep, so you're pretty much guaranteed to pay the most that is allowed for Medicare, which can be really frustrating and, again, kind of a punch in the gut. So the second piece that we want to talk to you about is really a huge hole that we see in Medicare, and that's long-term care. Long-term care is considered services that you may need that aren't necessarily medical help. A nursing home is a great example, or in-home care for things that you can no longer do. So the inability to dress yourself and bathe, things like that. Those are things that require what we call long-term care. It can be quite expensive. I think in 2019, the average cost of a nursing home in the country was around $100,000 a year. So long-term care is not only really costly, but it's also likely that a lot of us will need it. I think the data that we've seen is around 60% of people will need long-term care at some point in their lives. So it's a big problem. It's not covered by Medicare, which is extremely frustrating, but what can you do if you're a credit union to help your employees prepare for that?
Yeah, I think that's the great part of being a not-for-profit, in that you can set up long-term care plans, and you don't have to do this for everybody, but you can. You can create minimum plans, so you could give employees $1,000 a month towards long-term care or $2,000 a month. But the big advantage is that because you're a non-taxable entity, Your employees, when you pay for that benefit, they're not taxed on it either. And with some of the products that we see today, you can actually pay up these plans. So at age 65, when that employee retires, the plan can be paid up. They don't have to make any more premium payments on it. There's also some options that have for a death benefit or a return of premium. So if that employee never uses that throughout their lifetime, so they're not one of those 2/3 or 60%, then that benefit can go to their heirs. So, and again, fully non-taxable to that employee, and the credit union, of course, can provide the benefit the way they want to choose to do it.
Huge opportunity there, and we actually recently saw a study that said the biggest employee benefit that was a need as identified by employees that was not being met is long-term care. So we think there's a huge opportunity here.
Yeah, so again, if you're an executive at a credit union or you manage HR, we can help you with this. We do have an application below that you can fill out, and we're more than happy to provide you some reviews and information on these plans.
Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We have a ton of other videos that may be helpful for your employees, all about healthcare and retirement. And make sure you click the notification bell so you know when we come out with new videos. Thanks, guys.